Hi, I'm Zanotti with books that can help you grow or that you can grow with. This one doesn't have a movie attached to it, so don't worry. Just a book. I think there's an audiobook too. This book is called On Intelligence. It's by Jeff Hawkins. Jeff Hawkins was, I think, the founder of Palm Computing. Remember the Palms? Those were little devices. Early on, these were a long time ago, those Palm computers. I used to have one of those. And they were great for reading books and maybe even listening to books and doing some other stuff. The Palm computers were nice handheld computers. Their demise came when the big phones came out. All of a sudden, the phone did everything the Palm did and better and beautifuler and color and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, he was one of the founders of that. He's a really bright guy. Well, he's always been interested in neuropsychology, brain physiology, anatomy, how we think, what we do. And in this book, he has another one also about the brain and the mind. I think I have that one. That one I don't know if I've read yet. But this one is quite interesting. He talks all about intelligence or how our brains work. Now, let me give you one sample out of the book. There are many, many, many samples. But for example, if you know somebody who lies a lot, who just has no grasp on reality, the first word out of their mouth is probably fake. It's just the person doesn't have a lot of solid standing anywhere. Everything is new. Everything is different, changes. And you go, this person's lying. Well, maybe not. What's been discovered over the last probably 15, 20 years is that our brains are very much like hard drives. And if you know what a hard drive is on a computer, it stores information sequentially if it can. If it can't, it leaves gaps and then starts all over again. It's looking for segments that you can pull together so that you have a solid file. But when a disk is fragmented, meaning there's too many segments all over the place, then there are gaps and it takes a little longer to read a file. It still works, it's just a lot slower. Well, our brains are similar. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you're speaking and you may say something and realize, wait a minute, I just said something totally different from what I wanted to say. Or my dates were wrong or something was wrong and you're aware of it. What happened? How did you come up with that when you were really thinking of something else? The brain is a very, very fast machine. It's a very fast calculator. Very quick computer machine, if you will. It's a quantum machine, as some physicists like to say. Our brains are so fast that even current day machines are not as quick at getting information back, real information, not just stored information that's kind of put together, but real events that happen or real things. And it's amazing how we can get to anything at any one point. Well, one of the things he talks about is a person who may be lying may not be lying. They may have gaps in their memory. So let's say, for example, you've done something and you get to this point and now you can't remember what happened afterwards. So what you do is, what the brain does automatically, it fills the gaps. And that gap may be filled with something completely unreal. It sounds like it's real, but it may never have happened. It could be dates, it could be other things. I knew one guy once who, I think his mom died like 5 times, different years. The years got mixed up all the time. He wasn't lying. He didn't remember exactly when. But the brain can instantly fill it up. And at that point you go, wait a minute, he's a compulsive liar. No. It's probably that gap getting filled really quickly. And that happens in many, many, many cases with a lot of people. Some people are compulsive liars, but maybe they're not. They may have compulsive gaps. And when you have those gaps, it's very hard to determine sometimes what reality is or not. You know, for one thing for sure, they're filling it with something. Is that something what really happened? Probably not. It's something else. Or sometimes people come up to a complete halt. Blah, 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 blah. I do that with names. Sometimes I forget people's names. I've done that since I was, 18, 19. I've always forgotten people's names. I used to remember their phone numbers, not their names. Oh, hey, 909-602-4831. Not very personal. It really isn't a good thing to do. But it's funny how our brains all are tweaked a little bit differently. So that gap is caused by the brain. That it's in the brain's memory, in the cortex, is storing information incompletely, or somehow it got overwritten by other information, or the neural connections didn't quite connect to the right place. Unfortunately, our brains don't re-index too well. So as a result, you can get some garbage out there. That's one thing he talks about. There are so many about how our brains work, the relationship between different areas of the brain, depression, other things, how all of it works. It's really a fascinating book. If you're interested in learning more about how your brain works or how other people's brains work, it's a good read. It's a good read. I read it pretty quickly. I found it very fascinating. I knew a lot of it, but I didn't know all of it. For example, I didn't know about the gaps in the brain. It makes sense because hard drives are somewhat patterned after our brains, which doesn't speak too well of our brains, I guess, but we're not perfect. But anyway, if you do like it, there is a link below to the book, and I think you'll enjoy it. If you have an interest in neuroscience or neuroscience, neuropsychology, and other things reflecting how the brain perceives things, how it responds to things, to stimuli or anything else, you'll find this pretty interesting. It's a good book, and he researches it very well. Like he said, he's a hobbyist when it comes to neuropsychology, but hobbyists can be very good researchers somewhere, and he has a good scientific mind from his days at Palm. Have a good one, everyone. I'm Rick Zanotti. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.